switch
100%.
gears, though, to the Oklahoma-Alabama game. We all remember what happened last year. Oklahoma upsets Alabama. It ends up being one of the main points that keeps Alabama out of the playoff last year at 9-3. They didn't have an offense last year. Now they have the John Mateer offense, which is still mostly whatever he is able to do. But this is a game that I think is really interesting because the rest of the nation has caught up to our concerns about Alabama's run game. 2.2 yards per carry against LSU, total of 56 rush yards. And I looked this up, Joshua. We have talked about how awesome Ty Simpson is and how it's basically a one-dimensional offense, and he's been really, really good. He's only thrown one interception. He's always making plays. 72.2% of Alabama's offensive yardage this season has come in the pass game. That is a crazy percentage. And again, not that like Alabama has to be Alabama who they were under Nick Saban, but it's strange that Alabama can't always run the ball. And they can't run the ball when they want to run the ball, which feels like it could be a problem at some point. And maybe it's this game where you do have a very good defense in Oklahoma, the Brent Venables impact. I don't know. I don't know if it's going to come to roost here, but it is something that we're tracking on. And I do wonder, like 72% feels like that could be a problem at some point against most teams in the SEC. It hasn't been, but is it going to be when they play a team that can actually defend the pass or at least make it life more difficult on Ty Simpson?
It's going to be an interesting thing. I think this actually is an awful matchup for the Oklahoma defense because of that. I think that their defense is very, very good at making teams have to throw the football. If you have an offense as dynamic as Alabama, that's where they start to run into trouble. I look at the way Ole Miss was able to throw the football around the yard when they played against Oklahoma. And that's what scares me about this. Like, I think that Kalen DeBoer and Ryan Grubb and company might go in there and say, F it, we won't run it one time. We won't run it one time. And that's where this game could get a little bit weird because I do think Oklahoma might have trouble in the secondary with some of the Alabama weapons.
You think John Mateer can do much? I mean, he hasn't thrown the ball great, but he's run it a bit. You know, they were able to force some turnovers against Tennessee, which helped the offense be put in some better positions.
Yeah.
What is it? What needs to happen for Oklahoma to be in this game?
Well, I think John Mateer having a big game certainly helps. One of the criticisms that I've had, and you've heard me talk about this almost every week with Alabama, is I just don't think they're very stout on either line of scrimmage. And then when you add in a quarterback that can run, which for everybody, the Oklahoma run game does not come from the running backs, which is a problem. But this idea of having the extra rusher with the quarterback has spelled trouble for some teams here. I do think Alabama is improving defensively, though, and I think that they're hitting like the old Alabama teams used to hit on defense. Finally, like they look physically imposing, like maybe not the most sound defense in the country, but they've made improvements. But if you get that Mateer magic that we've seen numerous times, we saw it at Washington State, we saw it early on in the year at Oklahoma, like this game becomes really interesting. Like to I guess put the context around that. Mateer was what Ty Simpson is in terms of Heisman hype and all that stuff early in the year. If you get that back, now you've got a matchup between two quarterbacks that are Heisman caliber. All of a sudden, it's very interesting.
I will point out that John Mateer is no longer the leading rusher, which he was for this team for a lot of the season. Torrey Blaylock, Xavier Robinson are both have more rush yards than John Mateer. He has more touchdowns. I know what you're saying.
I think that philosophically they're trying to
you need John Mateer to be running the ball
but you don't want him to be hurt like he got hurt earlier in the year. Like that's the whole push and pull with them.
And Oklahoma's got a brutal schedule, but this is part of the reason. Like you have these opportunities as well to potentially play spoiler. They need to win out to stay in the CFP mix. It is an eliminator for them. They survived their eliminator last week, and now they move on to Alabama